Welcome to Living with Jesus, a space created not merely to be read or observed, but to be entered with an open heart, a quiet spirit, and a sincere longing for something deeper than routine faith or distant belief. Because living with Jesus is not about religion as a set of rules or rituals, it is about relationship, presence, and transformation that unfolds day by day, moment by moment, as you learn to walk alongside Him in the ordinary rhythms of life as well as in its most challenging seasons. And if you are here today, it is not by accident, because every soul that seeks truth, peace, healing, or purpose is gently drawn by a love that existed long before the search began. A love that knows your name, understands your struggles, and welcomes you exactly as you are, not as you think you should be. And this journey of living with Jesus begins with an invitation rather than a demand. An invitation to slow down, to listen, and to discover that God is not distant or silent, but near, attentive, and deeply invested in your life, your growth, and your joy. And here you are encouraged to move beyond knowing about Jesus to actually knowing Him, to recognizing His presence not only in moments of prayer or worship, but in conversations, decisions, setbacks, and quiet thoughts. Because living with Jesus means allowing Him to walk with you into your fears, your questions, your hopes, and your wounds, trusting that He does not recoil from brokenness, but meets it with compassion and restoration. And as you begin this path, you may come carrying burdens, doubts, or disappointments, but you are not asked to hide them or fix yourself first, because Jesus has always welcomed people in their unfinished state, knowing that transformation happens through connection, not perfection, and living with Him means learning to trust His voice above the noise of the world, learning to rest in His presence when life feels uncertain, and learning to believe that you are deeply loved even on days when faith feels fragile. And this space exists to remind you that following Jesus is not about striving to earn His approval, but about responding to grace that has already been given, grace that calls you beloved before you ever get anything right. And as you grow in this relationship, you will begin to notice subtle but powerful changes, a peace that settles within you even when circumstances remain difficult, a clarity that guides your decisions, a gentleness that reshapes how you treat yourself and others. Because living with Jesus slowly transforms not only what you believe, but how you live, how you love, and how you see the world, and you will discover that He is present in both the miraculous and the mundane, in answered prayers and in waiting, in joy and in suffering, teaching you that faith is not the absence of struggle, but the presence of hope within it. And this journey is not meant to be rushed or compared to others, because Jesus walks with each person uniquely, meeting them where they are and guiding them at the pace their heart can bear. And here you are invited to cultivate a daily awareness of His presence, to speak to Him honestly, to listen quietly, and to allow Scripture, prayer, and reflection to become living conversations rather than obligations. And as you do, you will begin to understand that living with Jesus is not about escaping the world, but about engaging it differently, with compassion instead of judgment, courage instead of fear, and love instead of indifference. Because when Jesus lives at the center of your life, even ordinary moments become sacred, and even pain becomes a place where grace can grow, and you will learn that He is not only your Savior, but your companion, teacher, comforter, and friend, guiding you through seasons of growth, pruning, waiting, and renewal. And this path will challenge you at times, calling you to forgive when it is difficult, to trust when answers are unclear, and to love when it costs something. But it will also sustain you, reminding you that you are never alone, never forgotten, and never beyond redemption. And as you continue living with Jesus, you will find that your identity becomes rooted not in success, approval, or failure, but in the unchanging truth that you are God's beloved child. And from that place of security, your life begins to bear fruit. Kindness where there was hardness, patience where there was frustration, hope where there was despair, and purpose where there was confusion. And this welcome is also a reminder that living with Jesus is not a solitary journey, because faith grows stronger in community, in shared stories, prayers, and encouragement, as we learn from one another and walk together toward deeper trust and understanding. And whether you are new to faith, returning after a long absence, or seeking to deepen an already existing relationship, you belong here, because Jesus Himself is the one who welcomes, who invites, and who says again and again, "Come and walk with me." And as you step into this journey, may you discover that living with Jesus is not about mastering faith, but about being mastered by love, a love that heals, restores, guides, and transforms, a love that meets you in the present and leads you faithfully into the future. And may this space serve as a gentle doorway into a life lived with intention, grace, and hope, where every step is taken hand in hand with Christ, and every day becomes an opportunity to grow, to trust, and to live fully in His presence. My child, I speak to you with a heart full of joy and deep affection, for I am truly pleased with you and with the faithfulness you have shown toward me in every season of your life. Whether those seasons were bright with hope or heavy with uncertainty, because you have listened to my voice, treasured my words, and returned to my presence again and again, even when distractions pulled at your attention and the noise of the world attempted to drown out the quiet truth I place within your spirit. And it is this constancy, this devotion, this willingness to seek me not only when things are easy, but also when things are difficult, that has filled my heart with delight and caused me to recognize the love you carry for me, a love that is not rooted in convenience, but in trust, gratitude, and longing. And because you have chosen to remain grateful, even when answers seem delayed and outcomes uncertain, because you have lifted your eyes toward me instead of surrendering to bitterness or despair, you have touched my heart deeply. And it is for this reason that I have chosen you for a miracle that is not ordinary, not small, not fleeting, but supernatural in nature, a miracle that will shift the direction of your life in ways you cannot yet fully understand, a miracle that will mark you, transform you, and serve as a living testimony of my power and my love. And so I call you now to remain alert, awake, and attentive over the next 48 hours, not in fear or anxiety, but in expectation and awareness, because these hours are rich with my presence, heavy with possibility, filled with divine movement, where every moment is fertile ground for my work, every second a doorway into my power, and every breath you take an invitation to witness my glory unfolding around and within you. And I urge you not to allow yourself to be distracted by the voices of the world, by the doubts of others, or by the fears that may rise uninvited in your own thoughts, because these things are temporary, unstable, and fleeting, while what I am bringing into your life is eternal, rooted in my unchanging nature, and reflective of the boundless love I have for you, a love that has never wavered even when circumstances seemed impossible and outcomes appeared hopeless. For I have seen the faith you carried quietly in your heart, the faith you clung to when logic failed you, and when strength felt scarce. And I want you to understand that miracles are not only events that occur outside of you, visible and tangible though they may be, but they are also seeds planted deep within your spirit, seeds that grow silently, often unnoticed, nourished by trust, patience, and belief long before their fruit appears. And what you are about to experience in these hours will be both external and internal, a transformation of your surroundings as well as a profound renewal of your soul, for I am with you always, moving in ways your eyes have not yet seen, in ways your mind cannot fully comprehend, and in ways your heart can only sense. And I ask you not to doubt, my beloved, because doubt casts shadows where I have prepared light, and uncertainty can blur the vision of what is already unfolding. So keep your heart steady, your spirit grounded, and your focus on me. Speak to me as you always have, with honesty and openness, and listen as you always have, with humility and trust, because even in moments when you feel small, unsure, or overwhelmed, even when the world presses against you with challenges and questions, remember that I am with you, closer than your breath, stronger than your fear, and nothing can separate you from my love or prevent me from fulfilling the plans I have formed for you with intention and care. And in these coming hours I will open doors that no person can close, doors that seemed sealed by circumstance or time, and opportunities that once appeared lost will return with clarity and purpose. Solutions will arise where impossibility once stood, and connections you have prayed for, hoped for, and waited on will align in perfect timing, revealing my hand guiding every step of your life, orchestrating events in ways that exceed human understanding. And I tell you not to fear the intensity of what is approaching, because miracles of great magnitude often arrive with a stirring of the soul, a shaking of what is familiar, and a reordering of what you once believed was permanent. And as I lift you, my child, do not resist my work, but receive it with humility and gratitude. Allow your spirit to remain pliable in my hands, open and responsive, because even the smallest resistance can ripple into uncertainty. So remain open, tender, and unwavering in faith, remembering the long path you have walked, the tests you have endured, the hardships you have faced, and the moments when darkness felt overwhelming and hope seemed thin, yet you persevered, holding on to me through long nights and heavy silences, whispering my name when strength was scarce. And I have seen every tear you shed, every prayer you offered, every act of devotion you performed in secret, and I have held them as precious treasures. And now I am responding, and you will notice signs at first subtle and then unmistakable, perhaps a warmth in your chest, a peace that defies explanation, words or thoughts that arrive with clarity beyond your own reasoning, coincidences that align too perfectly to ignore, patterns that form and guide you gently forward. And these are my whispers, my presence breaking into your awareness, preparing you for what is to come. And I remind you not to rush this process, because patience is woven into faith itself. And though there may be moments when it feels as though nothing is happening, do not be discouraged, because growth often occurs beneath the surface before it emerges into the light. And this is the hour when your faith shines brightest, because I am about to restore what was lost, heal what was broken, multiply what was scarce, and bless you beyond what you imagined possible, bringing people, resources, opportunities, and revelations into your life with divine precision. For nothing is random, nothing is accidental, and nothing exists outside my control, and I call you now to prepare yourself. Guard your mind against fear, negativity, and doubt. Speak words of faith, gratitude, and hope, for your words carry power, and as you declare my promises over your life, you align yourself with the miracle unfolding. And do not be afraid to rejoice, because joy reflects your connection to me and amplifies what I am doing. And remember that what I am sending is not only for you, but for those around you, because your life is a testimony, a beacon of hope, and an instrument of my glory. And I teach you that miracles require participation, that faith is active, alive, and responsive, and though obstacles may appear, stand firm, resist discouragement, and remain faithful, guarding your heart against bitterness and resentment, cultivating forgiveness, humility, generosity, and love, because these qualities prepare you to receive and sustain what I am pouring into your life. And as you move through these hours with heightened awareness, listen to the whispers of your spirit, trust the impressions that guide you, respond in obedience, and do not measure what I am doing by human standards, because my ways are higher and my timing perfect. And remember, every promise I have given you will come to pass, and gratitude will multiply what you receive, because everything in creation responds to love. And when your soul aligns with love itself, the universe responds, and making God happy is not a duty but a return to your origin. For you were born of divine joy, created with delight, known before your first breath, shaped as an expression of love. And when the soul forgets this, it wanders. But when it remembers, everything becomes radiant, and to live to please God is to live in harmony, to become a living note in the music of eternity, where love overflows, where kindness shines, where forgiveness heals, where faith becomes confidence, and trust becomes rest, and even suffering becomes meaningful because love grows deeper through it. And when you live awake, noticing beauty, choosing goodness, practicing gratitude, forgiving yourself and others, living truthfully and humbly, you participate in divine joy, and love is never lost, never wasted, never forgotten, and God is not distant but present in every act of goodness. And when you seek to make God happy, you discover He has been seeking your happiness all along, and eternity is not just endless time but perfect love, and every small choice for love builds the kingdom, and holiness lives in ordinary acts done with extraordinary love. And when you live anchored in divine approval, fear loses power, peace rises, and joy becomes your strength. And at the end you will see that every effort to please God was also the creation of your own joy, indistinguishable, eternal, radiant, and alive. And so let your life be your prayer, your purpose, and your offering, to live fully, love deeply, forgive freely, trust completely, and know that you are eternally loved by the one who is love without end. My beloved child, I speak to you from a place of deep joy and unwavering love, for I have watched your journey closely, and I am pleased with the faithfulness you have shown, the way you have listened for my voice even when it was quiet, and the way you have chosen to return to my presence again and again, not only when life felt gentle, but also when it felt heavy and demanding, and because you have sought me with sincerity, because gratitude has lived in your heart even during uncertainty, I have felt your love clearly, and it has brought me delight, and it is for this reason that I am moving now in a powerful and intentional way, choosing you for a moment that will alter the course of your life. A miracle that is not ordinary or temporary, but deeply supernatural. And as this moment approaches, I ask you to remain attentive and aware over the next 48 hours, not with anxiety, but with expectancy, because these hours are saturated with my presence, alive with divine movement, where every moment holds potential, every second is filled with purpose, and every breath you take places you closer to witnessing my glory at work. And I urge you not to allow the noise of the world, the opinions of others, or the fears that arise in your own thoughts to distract you, because those things are fleeting and unstable, while what I am releasing into your life is eternal, rooted in love that does not fade and power that does not weaken. And understand this, my child, that miracles are not only dramatic events that appear suddenly around you, but they are also quiet works that begin within you, seeds planted in the depths of your spirit that grow slowly through trust and faith, long before they become visible. And what is unfolding now will touch both your inner world and your outer circumstances, renewing your soul while reshaping your path. For I am with you, moving in ways beyond what you can currently see, think, or explain. And even when you cannot fully understand what I am doing, your heart will recognize my presence. So do not give space to doubt, because doubt clouds the vision of what is already being prepared, and instead keep your heart steady and your attention fixed on me. Continue speaking to me honestly as you always have, and listening with openness as you always have, because even when you feel uncertain, overlooked, or challenged by life, remember that I have not left you, and I never will, and nothing can separate you from my love or stop my purposes from coming to pass. And in these coming hours I will open doors that were once sealed, restore opportunities that seemed lost, bring clarity to situations that felt confusing, and align connections you have prayed for in perfect timing. And you will begin to recognize my hand guiding events, arranging outcomes, and directing your steps in ways that surpass human logic. And I tell you not to fear the changes that may accompany this miracle, because powerful transformation often shakes what is familiar and rearranges what once felt permanent. And as I lift you into what is next, receive it with humility, gratitude, and openness, allowing your spirit to remain flexible and responsive, because resistance, even subtle, can delay peace. But surrender invites clarity, and remember how far you have come, the trials you endured, the nights when hope felt distant, the moments when you continued to whisper my name even when silence surrounded you. And know that I have seen every tear, heard every prayer, and treasured every quiet act of faith, and now I am answering, and there will be signs along the way. Gentle at first and then undeniable, a sense of peace that settles without explanation, insights that arrive with unusual clarity, moments that align too perfectly to dismiss. And these are not accidents, but my guidance, my reassurance, my preparation for what lies ahead, and I encourage you not to rush or force outcomes, because patience is an essential part of faith, and even when it seems as though nothing is happening, trust that growth is taking place beneath the surface, because this is a season where your faith is being strengthened and revealed. And I am moving to restore what was lost, heal what was wounded, increase what was lacking, and bless you beyond what you expected, bringing people, resources, and opportunities into your life with precise intention. For nothing is random, and nothing is outside my care. And as you prepare, guard your mind from fear and negativity. Speak words rooted in hope and gratitude, because your words carry weight, and align your spirit with what I am doing, and allow yourself to rejoice, because joy reflects your connection to me and creates space for my presence to move freely. And remember that this miracle is not only for your benefit, but also for those around you, because your life is meant to encourage, inspire, and reflect my love. And I want you to understand that miracles require your participation, that faith is active and responsive, expressed through prayer, gratitude, obedience, and expectation. And while challenges may arise, do not be discouraged, because resistance often appears just before breakthrough. And stand firm, knowing that you are protected by my love and strengthened by my power. And guard your heart carefully, keeping bitterness, resentment, and envy from taking root, choosing instead forgiveness, humility, and generosity, because these qualities create fertile ground for lasting blessing. And during this time, you may notice an increased sensitivity to guidance, subtle impressions, intuitive nudges, and inner clarity. And these are ways I speak. And when you respond in trust, each step opens the way further, and do not limit what I am doing by human expectations, because my ways are higher and my plans more expansive than you can imagine. And remember the promises I have spoken to you in the past, because none of them are forgotten, and gratitude will continue to multiply what you receive. For everything in creation responds to love, and you were created from love, shaped by it, and called to return to it. And making God happy is not obligation but alignment with your deepest purpose, because your soul was formed from joy itself. And when you live in love, kindness, forgiveness, honesty, and trust, you participate in divine harmony, and life becomes meaningful even in difficulty, because love gives purpose to every season. And when you choose love over fear, mercy over judgment, hope over despair, you bring light into the world, and that light is never wasted. And understand this truth deeply, that as you seek to please the source of love, you will discover that your own joy is fulfilled as well, because divine joy and human joy flow together as one. And eternity is not simply endless time, but a state of perfect love. And when you live for that love now, you touch eternity even while walking on earth. And holiness is found not in grand displays, but in ordinary actions done with sincerity. And when your heart is anchored in divine approval, fear loses its grip, peace settles within you, and freedom becomes your way of living. And one day you will see clearly that every moment you lived in love was building something eternal. And until that day, let your life itself be your offering, lived with openness, courage, forgiveness, gratitude, and trust, knowing that you are deeply seen, fully known, and endlessly loved by the one who is love itself.